Hello, call to order.
Thank you, Deputy Clerk. We'll begin this council meeting by acknowledging that the County of Prince Edward is on traditional land that has been inhabited by Indigenous peoples from the beginning. Thank all the generations of people who've taken care of this land for thousands of years. We recognize and deeply appreciate their historic connection to this land. Today, the County of Prince Edward is still home to many First Nations and Métis people, and we are grateful to have an opportunity to meet here, work, and continue stewardship of this land. I'd like to welcome everyone and thank you all for joining us electronically for this meeting of council. I'd like to introduce Chad Curtis, our new Deputy Clerk, who called the meeting to order. Chad, this is the second day of Chad being employed by the municipality. So welcome, Chad, and best of luck in your job. And I hope you enjoy yourself while you're here. I'd like to also say I appreciate the patience and cooperation as we navigate through this time of uncertainty and what the new normal might look like in terms of council meetings in Prince Edward County. However, I'd like to, in response to some recent events, I'd like to express my sorrow and my frustration that we still live in a world with discrimination, violence, and unjust behavior. We must do better as a community, a nation, and the world. My thoughts, and I'm sure those of members of council and our staff, are with family and friends of George Floyd during this time and others who have faced discrimination. Tonight's agenda lists all the items before council for consideration. The recommended motions on tonight's agenda are shown in boldface. Copies of the agenda have been posted on our website. This meeting is being live streamed, and any participation in the meeting proceedings will become part of the public record. The recording from the meeting will be published on the county's website immediately and can be viewed by selecting the streaming tab on the county's homepage at thecounty.ca. Under agenda item 8, I will be asking for comments from the audience. Members of the public who wish to provide comments at future meetings can do so by contacting clerks@pecounty.on.ca to register. The maximum time allotted for comments is 30 minutes. And this evening we have 3 people that are going to be commenting on items on the agenda. The names of those people will be included in the council minutes and will form part of the public record posted to the county's website. At item 9, council will move into planning public council to consider staff reports with respect to the planning applications as listed on the agenda, to receive deputations and submissions related to those planning applications, and make recommendations on each application under the provisions of the Planning Act. We also have one deputation this evening. And when the deputant speaks, please state your full name and address your comments to the chair. Following your deputation, there may be questions from members of council. Bylaws listed on this agenda provide the full force of law to decisions of council. Any matter decided today by either resolution or bylaw is final and cannot be revisited by council until 4 regular meetings have expired without a 2/3 majority vote. In terms of housekeeping, I would ask everyone to please mute their phones or turn them off as we go through the agenda. So thank you. That will move us to item number 3, the confirmation of the agenda. And this is a Councillor McMahon motion.
Thank you, Your Worship. There's a McMahon-Hirsch motion that the agenda for council meeting of June the 8th, 2020 be confirmed.
Thank you. All those in favor? Show of hands, please. That carries. Move to item 4, disclosure of pecuniary interest and the general nature thereof. Does anybody have anything to declare? Councillor St. Jean.
Thank you, Your Worship. With regards to item 9.5 in the one of the planning matters, the applicants are my aunt and uncle as well. They are clients of my business.
Okay. Anybody else? No. Okay. So that under item number 5, announcements. Does anybody have anything they would like to announce? Seeing none, we'll move to 6.1, adoption of minutes. And this is Councillor Prinzen's motion.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's a Prince and St. Jean motion that the council minutes from the meeting held on May 26, 2020 be adopted as presented.
Thank you. Any questions? All those in favor? And that carries. Item 6.2, Councillor Mcnaughton.
Sorry about this, technical difficulties. It's going to be an interesting night. Hang on. Pardon me, I got it. So this is the Mcnaughton Forster motion that the council minutes from the meeting held on May 28th, 2020 be adopted as presented.
Thank you. Questions? Seeing none. All those in favor, please raise your hand. That carries. And we'll move us to deputations and deputation for 7.1. And this is a deputation from Alexandra Say. And Madam Clerk, I assume you're going to bring Alexandra on. There she is. Welcome, Alexandra.
Hello. Thank you. Do I have the floor?
You have the floor. Yeah, you've got 10 minutes and you now have the floor.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Council and Mr. Chair, for allowing this deputation from the Regent Theatre this evening. It's a pleasure to see you all and to be here. Just by way of housekeeping, you all have the presentation, which I'm going to assume that you have read, or if not, you can bring it up on your screen. I will speak around the presentation. I'm not going to navigate directly through it this evening, but I'll leave time for questions at the end, and hopefully I'll be able to address any concerns that you have. Okay. So diving right in, the Regent Theatre applied this year, as we have every other year, to the County Foundation for the County Community Grant. Historically, that ask has made up approximately 5% of our total revenue for the year. And this year, as with many other organizations, we were approved by the foundation, but turned down by council because of COVID, obviously. But we're using this deputation as an opportunity to come back to council with a new proposal for that same amount of money. What we propose doing now is giving council an opportunity, giving the county an opportunity to invest in the capacity building future of the Regent. Until now, well, right now, if the Regent Theatre does nothing differently, if we do nothing to pivot our programming, if we do nothing to generate more revenue, without the streams that we normally have, we will die. By the end of September, the Regent Theatre at the end of our fiscal year will not be viable unless we pivot our programming, unless we can find a way of generating revenue. So it's that I'm bringing to the table to you this evening. COVID has actually presented us with an opportunity to rethink what we offer to the community and who we are. And so I'd like to propose that back to introduce that new vision to you this evening. What we feel that there is room for the Regent to be today in the county is a cultural and community hub. And the and community hub is crucial to our vision of what the future looks like. What does that look like? Well, a community hub is a space that provides access to the full community. And I'm talking the community of Prince Edward County and beyond. What we're proposing is to introduce a hybrid programming model to allow us to do this. And what that means is to allow us to build our capacity through equipment and investment in expertise to enable us to live stream content. So yes, we have a theater, we have a live event and a live audience, a limited live audience. We all know that that's going to be limited for quite some time. So we have a limited live audience, but to that we add the ability to live stream content. And with that comes the ability to live stream to a satellite venue. So that could be somewhere like the Mustang Drive-In, for example. We're actually in conversations with them and it's going quite well. And also obviously to live stream to a much wider online audience. And what that does is it increases access. Historically, as the Regent Theatre, we've said, we are the entertainment hub of the county. Come to our space and experience what that is. But we're turning that proposition around now. We're saying we are the Regent Theatre and we are a community and cultural hub, and we are going to bring content to you. So now my neighbor here in Ameliasburg, who's broken her hip, doesn't need to worry about getting into Picton to see the show. She can go online and see the show. Or the kid in Wapoos who doesn't have a driver's license can come in, doesn't have to come in to see the show, but can watch it online, right? The other aspect of community building that's part of this pivot is our ability to now function as a community resource. So if we have the equipment, there's no sense us sitting on it when we're not using it. We might as well give it back to the community and make it available as a resource to the community. And that community extends far beyond the arts community. It could be a local business. It could even be, it could even be city council. You might need a way to live stream a town hall meeting, or you might need to space people out more. Well, we've got a space that's big and we can socially distance people safely in it. And with this capital investment, we will now have the facility to live stream ourselves. And so that capacity, will allow us to become that resource to community members in the county. So we will be giving back to the community. So I've kind of gone through what the hybrid model looks like. Now, the next obvious question is, well, what does it cost? You'll see a breakdown in the presentation. The 4 basic parts of what this will cost are as follows. It's the equipment. First and foremost, that's the lion's share of what this ask is. The reasons for that are fairly, or they should be fairly self-evident. If we're going to get into the online game, we need to be top of the game. Our audience has an expectation of quality. People are getting really sick of watching people with iPhones in their living rooms. They want quality. And so we need to invest in equipment that will ensure that quality and the dynamic content that we can provide, because we all know that the first place people are going to turn is to entertainment. We've all been doing it through COVID. We know how important that is to people, and we need to make the content dynamic for them. So that's equipment. We also need someone to run the equipment. We currently have, courtesy of the Canada Summer Jobs Program, a student, an individual whom we've hired, no longer a student, to be our digital media coordinator, and it will fall to that person to facilitate this program pivot. We have funding for them for 16 weeks. This ask encompasses the rest of the year. And then the other two portions of the way this funding would break down would be marketing. We need to be able to tell people what we're doing. We need to be able to tell them how we've changed. And we need to be able, crucially, to tell them how we're doing it safely, because that's big. And on the safety front, we also need to be able to ensure that our artists and our users, anyone who is in our building using our facilities, is safe. So the PPE line there that you see is for safety, to ensure the safety of our users. So that's how the ask would break down. And just before I close, let me just pause on the nature of our funding and just reinforce how unique we are as an organization, as a not-for-profit. We're a charity and we're a not-for-profit, and we're self-sustaining at this point. The fact that we are still in operations right now after being closed for 4 months is a testament to our security. That's not infinite, though. We're going to need to change. What makes us unique as well is that we own our own building, and it's a heritage building. So everybody knows what kind of price tag comes with that. But we have been able to sustain it ourselves in the past. We have, as I have mentioned in the past, received about 5% of our budget from council. But we receive, and this is crucial, we receive no operating funding from any level of government. That means that we are not currently eligible for the funding that is being administered through Canadian Heritage and Canada Council. And even if we were, and we will apply for funding down the road, but that's a long game. Applications don't open until October. Funds won't come in for many months after that. And our need for funding is immediate. So I just wanted to highlight that. And in closing, I'd like to say that investing in our hybrid programming model today will give us the capacity to ensure that the Regent can stay viable in a post-COVID world, and that it becomes the regional and community cultural hub that we believe it can be, and that will support the county at large for the long term. Thank you very much. And I look forward to questions and comments.
Yeah, thank you very much, Alexander. That was terrific, and the presentation's very well put together, and articulated it well.
Thank you.
Questions from members of council. Councillor Bailey.
There, just had to get the mute on. Alexandra, thank you very much for that. I absolutely love the region. I'm so glad to live in a town that has a theater like that. I need to clarify something you mentioned up front. The grant monies would be the same amount?
Our request this year pre-COVID was for $40,000. Our request now is for the same amount.
Okay. Second question, you have a quote from Vistec. I know them for quality, but also for a rather high price. Did you look at other quotes?
We did. We decided to present this one as an all-in-one solution to give an outside estimate of what this cost would be. It is entirely possible that we can come in under that.
Thank you.
Councillor McNaughton.
Thank you. Thank you, Alexandra, for that. That was great. I'm very hopeful and excited. It's a great idea. I like that you're looking at a pivot towards being so you are looking at, to be clear, at a pivot towards being a local content producer. So the region effectually becomes a producer. So
Yes.
Okay, that's so great. So, and that would be something that local arts groups, local cultural content producer, like creators, the high school, everyone would have access to?
Definitely. And I didn't stress that very much in the presentation, but partnering with local artists and local organizations is a crucial part of this. And by hybridizing our model like this, it allows us actually to do more programming, smaller shows, but more of them. And that gives local artists a platform, but it also enables us to start creating content ourselves.
That's great. Okay.
Regent Productions coming soon.
Coming throughout the county and beyond. So yeah, because I've seen some amazing cultural contributions by our local community theater groups, and I've seen some pretty amazing stuff here that's had its 4-day run and then been dead forever and only ever, you know, had its catchment locally. This is when the time is right. I would like to send this back to staff to see what they would recommend. So I'll wait till that time is right. So,
Okay.
But thank you, Alexandra. This is amazing.
Thank you.
Councillor Roberts.
Thank you, Mayor Ferguson, and thank you, Alexandra. I think I've been a supporting member of the Regent Theatre forever, so I certainly do want to see the Regent Theatre going forward indefinitely. Alexandra, these might sound a bit like devil's advocate questions, but I think it's important to get them out there and for people to hear your answers. You mentioned being a community hub, and I'm a big champion of community hubs, but we have a community hub in a sense in the Picton Community Center. We have a community hub in a sense of the Picton Library, which is looking to grow and pivot, as you say. We have a community hub in development with regard to the Picton Town Hall, the old fire hall. So how does this Picton community hub differentiate from those other spaces? That's my first question. And my second question is, we all acknowledge the shortage of post-COVID-19 resources. Was there any discussion at the Regent Theatre Board of looking at a private-public partnership in terms of the future of the Regent Theatre? And if there was, why was that not explored? Thank you.
Let me answer your second question first. Yes, we have struck a fundraising committee and we are moving forwards with fundraising initiatives. There are a lot of things that require money at the theater, and it's a matter of dividing and conquering. And we felt that it was stronger to come to the county with an ask for program specific and project specific content rather than infrastructure. So our fundraising will focus on infrastructure. So I hope that answers your second question. With respect to your first question about community hubs, I fully appreciate that. And I'm very aware of not wanting to duplicate something that already exists. When I say community hub, I mean that we will be able to amplify the work of others. And so by acting as a resource, by providing equipment rental, by providing expertise, by providing use of space, we will be able to facilitate the work of others. So if the library, for example, wants to host an event but can only have 5 people present, well, they can use our space. relationships like that and building partnerships like that is what I mean by saying community hub. I think there's also room for folks who unvenued folks, if you know what I mean. So people who don't have a venue and are looking at community and town halls, well, we're another option in there as well. But mainly it's about sharing the resources of the equipment and the expertise that come with it. And that's something that I think many other organizations sort of struggle to have. They have space, but not necessarily the equipment or the expertise.
Just supplementary.
Sorry?
Can I just do a quick follow-up?
Sure.
Alexandra, a P3 or a public-private partnership isn't really just a matter of fundraising, and perhaps we could explore that offline. I'd be happy to do that.
Thank you very much.
Councillor Harper.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Thanks, Alexandra. Like many, I'm a big fan of the Regent. I'll support Councillor Mcnaughton. I'll second her staff report. I was looking at one of your charts, which was the pre-COVID economic impact, and I was sort of coming at it from the standpoint of if you were to have to close up and lock the doors, what would the impact be on the community? And I'm looking at, in 2019, you brought in 32,000 people. Later on the slide, it says 56% of the audience went out for dinner or drinks. So if I do the math on that, whether they spend, be $25 to $40, that's somewhere in the range of $500,000 to $700,000 in revenue to the community. And if I add on top of that, whatever is raised for artists, raised for charities, I can see the contribution to the economy, if you will, as being upwards of $1 million. Is that in line with anything you guys have calculated?
Yes, we're in the process actually of doing a calculation through the Department of Heritage has a calculator, and we're actually in the process of filling in all the numbers to determine what the direct and indirect dollar figures are. And I can come back to you with figures, exact figures at a later date. But yes, upwards of $1 million is what we've calculated in the past.
Councillor Maynard.
Thank you.
Thank you, Worship. Thank you, Alexander, for your presentation. I see your quote for the equipment and getting this off the ground is $18,261. And I assume you have during the closure some expenses, but I know you own the building, so you'd have probably minimal heat and some minimal hydro. What makes up the remaining $22,000 of the ask that you need right at this particular time?
We have been quite successful in reducing our expenses during the closure, but while we ramp up our capacity, we will be operating in a deficit position. We have had in order to get this off the ground, but once it starts running, we hope to operate on at least a break-even model.
Just to follow up,
Yep.
So would wages then be the biggest component of that? And while we're off, what's your wage component of that remaining 22,000?
Wages are actually being subsidized currently by the wage subsidy, and so and if successful, the other wage would be the digital media coordinator, and so would be covered under this particular grant. But wages to bring back staff that we have laid off, yes, that would be a significant expenditure as well. But again, we will be looking to support that expense through our lines of credit and through our fundraising and other initiatives that will complement this one.
Okay.
Thank you.
Councillor Bullock.
Thank you, Your Worship. Thanks, Alexandra. It's a rather intriguing presentation that you gave to us, and the Regent certainly is a real gem. I find myself thinking along the same lines as Councillor Roberts again, And the use of the term community hub. And again, we've got the library, the community, or the old town hall, and yourselves all within a stone's throw. And I guess what you already sort of intimated, sort of the synergy the three of you can bring to each other. So without causing any kind of competition amongst the three of you, there is a limited amount of money. So I would really suggest and urge you to touch base with them and see what kind of synergies as far as a community hub, so that we don't sort of overextend ourselves.
Mhm. I understand your point, and that's well taken. Thank you for that. Our goal is very much to augment the work that's being done. And as I say, the portion of the hub aspect, a lot of the hub aspect for us is in terms of equipment sharing. And that's something that's specialized to us. The other venues don't necessarily have that the capacity that we do in terms of sound equipment, video equipment, audio equipment, right? And so it's that we would be leveraging in the hub aspect.
Follow up, please.
Yep. Go ahead.
Yeah, and again, what I find particularly intriguing, anytime we got a presentation that says that we're working towards self-sufficiency, is a big plus, because it means that there's enough community desire and interest to actually keep something going. So anyways, good luck, and keep pedaling.
Thank you. And if I may, just to follow up on what you just said, Councillor Bullock, as well as Councillor Maynard, you're both probing into other funding streams. And I would reiterate that we do have an opportunity to approach both the federal government and the Ontario government for operating funds moving forwards that will do exactly what you were questioning, Councillor Maynard, in terms of supporting our operations. So that is something that we will be looking to in the future, definitely.
Okay, I think Councillor St. Jean has a question, and then we'll go back to, I guess, Councillor Mcnaughton.
Okay, thank you, Your Worship. Thank you, Alexandra, for that presentation. You may know my history. I am a past president of the Regent Theatre, so the Regent Theatre is very near and dear to my heart. I was somewhat disappointed that 40K got chopped, but I also understand, we all understand that funding is tight right now. We're all in a bind. Everybody, every business, every aspect of our municipality. And I too understand what you're going through when it comes to operating funds. There never has been a reliable source of operating funds for the arts, point blank. Typically they're tied to capital. So if our municipality could find a way to support this capital purchase of equipment, it could go a long way to assisting the Regent Theatre to find operating funds that would match that. Is that right, Alexandra?
That is correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. Trust me, you have my support,
you.
and Councillor Mcnaughton has my support as well.
Thank you.
Well, let's hand it back to Councillor Mcnaughton. You wanted to bring something forward? Are you there?
It went up. Sorry, my sound.
There you go. Okay.
I'm sorry, I can't look at my agenda at the moment because of my lack of a spare device. But if we could simply amend the motion to include sending the matter to staff for a staff report.
Madam Clerk, did you get that?
Right. Yes, through your worship, since it was moved originally by Councillor St. Jean to receive the deputation and seconded by Councillor Mcnaughton, which is perfect. I just suggest that the wording just be, that the deputation be received and that the request from the Regent Theatre for capacity building for the future be referred to staff for a report on the viability of the proposal.
Is that okay with Councillor St. Jean, and obviously okay with Councillor Mcnaughton? That
All
language?
good by me.
Okay.
Yep.
And we'll put it out to the vote. All those in favor?
Before we vote, Councillor Nyman has
I'm sorry, what was that?
Councillor Nyman.
Oh,
Councillor Nyman.
Thank you. I was just wondering, could we have a date on that, when it would come back?
A date for the report?
Yeah.
Madam CAO.
Through your worship, to Councillor Nyman, we were planning on bringing a report to council on the community fund program line. We have, as everyone knows, unspent money in that line. So we have some proposals as to how that might proceed. So we could work that into that report. This would be an easy integration. We were planning on bringing that forward to the next council meeting on June 23rd.
Okay, that quick enough for everybody? Okay, so is this a question? Yes, Councillor Maynard. Then call the vote.
Thank you. No, just a sec. I was just unmuting. So you're saying that did you say it's coming to the next council meeting or to the next committee of the whole meeting?
We're bringing a report to council on how to, on what to do with the program, the unspent program dollars. So it's planning to come to the June 23rd council meeting.
So we'll make a decision at council instead of at a committee of the whole. Okay, thank you.
Okay, I'll call the vote. All those in favor? Show of hands, please. And that carries. Moves us to item 8, comments from the audience on items on the agenda. And I've got 3 people listed, all of whom are going to speak to item 7.1, the Regent Theatre. And the order I have is Krista Dalby, followed by Craig Mills, followed by Sarah Doran. I'm not sure, Madam Clerk, if you know what order you have them in, but I see Sarah, so I guess I got it right.
Through your worship, that's Krista, yes.
Okay. Hi, Sarah, welcome. You've got 3 minutes.
Hi, everybody. Good evening. My name is Krista Dalby. I'm the Artistic Director of the Department of Illumination, and I am the Arts Representative for the Mayor's Economic Recovery Team. So I would just like to take a moment tonight to express my full support for the Regent's hybrid programming model and to applaud their board and staff for the creation of this innovative new plan. We all know that the Regent is so much more than a movie theater. This historic building in the middle of Main Street is truly one of the county's greatest cultural assets and has played host to absolutely countless musical and theatrical performances, as well as being host to festivals and much more. So transitioning to an even more vibrant community hub by expanding their offerings will ensure that this Main Street icon can remain vital with year-round programming to serve locals and tourists alike, as well as providing opportunities to local artists and community groups. The availability of the theater's resources, such as streaming video and production equipment, will be extremely useful to artists and small businesses alike as we learn to recover from COVID and struggle to get up to speed with creating online services and content. While the days of mass gatherings are curtailed for the present, it won't be forever. And when life returns to some semblance of normal, we must ensure that the Regent's marquee is still brightly lit. Over the last few months, a few truths have become abundantly clear, and the first is how much togetherness matters. There are only a handful of places in the county where crowds of a significant size can gather year-round, and only the Regent Theatre has been devoted to arts and culture for more than 100 years. For anyone who might think that the arts are low priority right now, I would ask you to consider what the last few months would have been like without books, music, movies, and other cultural products. Arts and culture have not only helped make this time tolerable, but they have lifted us up and reminded us who we are and have succeeded in bringing us together, albeit virtually. Now is not the time to turn our backs on the incredibly vulnerable arts and culture sector, and I urge you to support the Regent Theatre's proposal in any way that you can to safeguard this irreplaceable venue for generations to come. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Krista. Well said. Any questions of Krista? Oh, you got off easy. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you, Krista.
Next, we have Craig Mills. There he is. Hi, Craig. Welcome.
Hi there.
You've got, just a reminder, you've got 3 minutes to make your comments.
Well, thank you very much. I'm Craig Mills from County FM, and on behalf of everyone at County FM, we wanted to offer our support for the Regent Theatre. It really has been, as Krista said, the driving force for over 100 years. It has fantastic brand recognition, and it's really a world-class facility that helps us share Prince Edward County with the world. While they get the support from the community, they're equally good about giving it back to the community and bringing us together. Frankly, when the COVID-19 hit, we had a lot of programs lined up with the Regent, and it was disappointing to see them cancel, but it was an amazing lineup. So that speaks to the quality of what they can do behind the scenes too. The instant rivalry party that was sold out, you can just imagine if that was able to be offered paid as well to people from around Canada or snowbirds, whoever would want to watched it. So that would have been very cool. They had the Trews lined up. The Trews were set up there. That was a great show. They have other things happening that, I don't know, it could be anything from a conference that you want to digitally get out to other people. And the potential is there for the Jazz Festival and other things. Really, it's a great stage that sits between Toronto and Montreal that's right here. And Pat Larkin mentioned to me today about Jeff Healy when he was there and how he expressed such fantastic joy in the quality of the acoustics of the building, which are, so that type of thing makes it definitely unique. I've had some experience with Theatre D when I worked in Toronto. They were a digital facility, a classic theater that renovated and renewed itself, and they did quite well. A little different with digital editing, but it was, it was a whole different model, and they kept it going strong for decades longer than people would have expected because of how they were able to grow. I know, similar to the radio station, the Regent is a strong asset to the community, and it's doing its best in a very tough situation. Without even this COVID-19 nightmare, this is probably a very good idea, regardless. But as they pivot their business and work to keep the doors open and grow for the future, I just think it's a smart move that we'll do our best to support as the radio station, and if we can get involved with cross promotions and streaming and other things with the Regent to help in its success, we definitely want to do that. So thank you for this opportunity. Appreciate it.
Thanks a lot, Craig. Any questions? Councillor Roberts.
Hi, Craig. How you doing?
Great. How are you?
Good. Craig, we all want to see the monarch of Main Street survive and flourish. But I'm going to want to take this opportunity to dig in a little bit with your digital experience. When we look at big studios now like Disney, who are preserving their product, not for theatrical release, but for release on their own online services, I see that as one threat for the Regent. So this plan that Alexandra is putting forward, this hybrid approach, sounds pretty good to me in a response to that. But what is the cost structure, Craig, when it comes to theatrical exhibition versus digital release? I would have thought it would have been, a digital release would have been considerably less expensive, but I'm not saying that with any facts. So is it less expensive?
Yeah, and I can't speak to that, Bill, as far as giving you any specifics on that one. I mean, I know that in the production process at Theater D, it was certainly a great thing that they were able to, to look at the movies, have groups of people in it, make revisions and do editing there and all of that, and keep it that way. It was a cost saver to the movie and production companies that were using the facility. But outside of that, I'm not sure.
Okay.
All right, thanks very much, Craig.
Thank you.
And finally, we go to Sarah Doran. Hi again, Sarah.
Hello. Nice to see you all again.
Welcome, and you've got 3 minutes to make your comments about item 7.1.
Okay, great. So hello, everyone. My name is Sarah Doran, and I am the manager of the Picton Business Improvement Association. Thank you very much for allowing me to speak in support of the Regent Theatre and the excellent presentation that Alexandra gave earlier. I think I'm just going to be echoing the sentiments that have already been expressed by others this evening. But I want to speak to the fact that Picton has a heritage conservation district, and the Regent Theatre is one of the anchor buildings in that area. We just celebrated the 100th anniversary last year, and Councillor Roberts referred to it as the Monarch of Main Street. I mean, it is a classic building, and I think that audiences often go there to see the building as much as they go to see the programming that's offered. It's a really special place on Main Street that we certainly need to preserve and celebrate. In terms of it being a community hub, I see the Regent being the center of a wheel with multiple spokes and, the ripple effect, whatever you want to call it, for all of these other community groups like Shatterbox Theatre, Comedy Country, the local dance groups that do their performances annually there. Flashback February, the event that celebrates Prince Edward County's heritage, did some events at the Regent as well. So it's really a place that shares a venue that otherwise may be too expensive for a lot of these groups, and makes it more accessible for some grassroots arts organizations. And then I would also like to remind you, I know that we're talking about a lot of the other venues that are available within a small footprint of Picton, but the Regent Theatre is where you yourselves were sworn in as councillors not too long ago, and there's no other building that would have accommodated the enormous crowd that came to show up there. And so we talk a lot about the post-COVID world, and there's certainly going to be a very big appetite for people to gather together in these spaces and enjoy time as a community. Which leads me to the last argument, that the Picton Business Improvement Association is very much in favor of continuing this town as a local community. I mean, one of the reasons that Picton works is because it is a functioning local community that has resources for the people who live here. It's not just a tourist town. It's a place that offers something year-round for all of the residents. And we can see that there's so much talent and so many resources in the people we have here, and the region is a place that brings all of those things together. So finally, I just want to read an excerpt from the letter of support that the Board of Management for the BIA provided in January of this year about the economic impacts of the Regent. The Board of Management firmly believes that the success of the downtown area is tied to the success of the Regent Theatre. By offering daily programming ranging from cinema to live theater to musical performances, a diverse population is attracted to Main Street. Theater goers will often patronize Picton's restaurants and shops before and after entering the theater. Without this programming, Picton would have few evening offerings. This produces a direct financial benefit to many of our member businesses, as well as contributing to the overall health and vibrancy of Picton. So thank you very much. I think most of you agree, but I appreciate the time to express.
Thank you very much, Sarah. Any
Thank you, Sarah.
questions? No, thank you very much. And I will just add that in the late 1980s, when I first came down and discovered this gem of a municipality, I was strolling down Main Street, Picton, having never been to Picton before, and came upon the Regent, which at the time was under construction, and some very dedicated and enthusiastic volunteers who brought me into the building and gave me a full tour of what the plan was and what the history of the building was. And it was important to them then, it is important to us now. So thank you very much, Alexander, and for the comments.
Thank you very much for this opportunity, and thank you, Council, for hearing.
Great, thank you very much. Okay, we will now move to items for consideration planning. So Councillor Maynard, do you have a motion
Yes,
for
Your
9.1?
Yes, Your Worship. This is a Maynard Harper motion. The council now move into public council to consider staff reports with respect to the planning applications as listed on this agenda, receive deputations and submissions related to those planning applications, and make recommendations on each application under the provisions of the Planning Act.
Thank you. All those in favor? That carries. This meeting is a public meeting as required under the Planning Act, and we'll deal with the planning applications listed on the agenda. If you wish to be notified of the decision of the County of Prince Edward on the proposed official plan amendment, you must make a written request to the Clerk of the County of Prince Edward or make an electronic comment on the application. If a person or public body would otherwise have an ability to appeal the decision of the County of Prince Edward to the Local Planning Appeal Tribunal, or LPAT, but the person or public body does not make oral submissions at a public meeting or make written submissions to the County of Prince Edward before the proposed amendment is adopted, the person or public body is not entitled to appeal the decision of the Local Planning Tribunal. So we will move to item 9.2.
Mayor Ferguson, Councillor Nyman has his hand up.
I'm sorry?
Councillor Nyman and Councillor Margaretson have their hand up.
Oh, I'm sorry. Councillor Nyman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Should we not have a motion to receive the comments from the audience?
Oh.
And I'll second it.
All right, my apologies. All those in favor? Thank you, that carries. Skipped ahead, sorry. So we move to item 9.2. And I'll have to ask the staff if they have any additional comments to include on this application.
Through your worship, yeah, I just have a few comments, just a little background on this one. It is a 1 hectare, they're proposing a 1 hectare residential lot. It is located on Chuckery Hill Road, just north of the Loyalist Parkway, Chuckery Hill Road intersection. We received one written comment from neighbors at 33C Chuckery Hill, which was included in the agenda. The main concern was that the entrance to the new lot would be constructed safely. I can confirm that staff has done a site visit to ensure that there are adequate sight lines. As well, staff is confident that the concerns for a safe entrance will be properly addressed during the entrance permit process. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Is the applicant or the applicant's agent present, and are they in agreement with the conditions of approval as outlined in the report?
Yes, good evening, Your Honor. It's Keith Watson from Watson Land Surveyors. I am the agent for this application. We have reviewed all the recommendations and requests and agreed to fulfill all the conditions.
Okay, thank you, Keith. Is there anybody in the audience who wishes to speak to the application? Seeing none, I will ask members of council if they have any questions. Any questions? No, then we'll call we'll have Councillor Nyman put this on the floor and then we'll vote, Madam Clerk.
Correct, Mayor Ferguson. So, Councillor Nyman, could you read that for me, please?
Yep. It's a Nyman Prinzen motion that the report of development services dated June 9th, 2020 regarding consent file numbers B30-20 and zoning bylaw amendment file number Z24-20 be received. That consent file number B30-20 Michael Rorden and Brian Woods for lands described as part lot 121 RCP 26 part 1 47 R34 10 in Ward 2 Bloomfield Hollowell be approved subject to the following conditions. 1, through 12, that zoning application file number Z24-20 Michael Rorden and Brian Woods for lands described as part lot 121 RCP 26 part 1 47 R3410 in Ward 2 Bloomfield Hollowell be approved.
Thank you. Questions? Okay, all those in favor? Show of hands, please. And that carries. Moves us to item 9.3. Steve Orr and Cheryl Bishop. So does staff have any additional comments?
Yes, through your worship.
This report. James?
I'm talking a lot tonight. So this is also a residential lot. And it has come to staff's attention that the conditions 5 and 6, there's one word error there. The start of both those conditions read prior to endorsing the deed for the retained, it should, and instead of retained, it should say severed. So it should read prior to endorsing the deed for the severed.
For the severed lot.
Yes, rather than retained. That's for conditions 5 and 6.
Okay. All right, thank you. Anything else, James?
No, not.
All right, I'll ask if the applicant or the applicant's agent is present and whether they are in agreement with the conditions as outlined. Is the applicant or the applicant's agent present, and are they in agreement with the conditions of approval as outlined in the report?
Steve's below. I said, Steve, you there?
Yeah, is that Mr. Orr?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, now we can hear you.
Okay.
I'll read.
I am in agreement, yes.
You are in agreement?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak to the subject application? Seeing no one, I will ask members of council if they have any questions. Councillor Margetson.
Thank you, Mayor Ferguson. I'm just making a friendly amendment to the motion insofar as I would like to change the word retained in condition 5 to severed. And I'd like to change the first time the word retained is used in condition 6 to severed. If I can get a seconder for that friendly amendment.
Okay. We have a seconder, Councillor Bailey. Okay, so this is a Bailey Margetson motion. Councillor Bailey, can you put this on the floor, please?
Through you, Your Worship, it's a Margetson Bailey motion. It's a Margetson Bailey
Yeah,
motion.
I'm sorry, you're right. I'm reading off the front of the form. Margetson Bailey motion. You could read this, Councillor Margetson.
Okay, this is a Margetson Bailey motion. That the report of development services dated June 9th, 2020 regarding consent files number B3520 and zoning bylaw amendment file number Z27-20 be received. That consent file number B3520 Orr and Bishop for lands described as part lots 3-4 concession 2 north of Black River, part 2 47R 3580, except part 1 47R 3978 in Ward 8 North Marysburg be approved subject to the following conditions.
So sorry. Before we continue, we're voting on the amendment first. Even though we said there was going to be a friendly amendment, we did have a mover and seconder to make the amendment.
We're voting on a friendly amendment?
And unless Councillor Bailey agrees to remove the to amend the conditions to just be severed. Because the way we worded it was that it would be an amendment. And even though we said the word friendly, we still have a mover and seconder by Councillor Margetson and Councillor Bailey to create the amendment. So if it's friendly, then it would just be Councillor Bailey agreeing to that change.
Do you agree with that change, Councillor Bailey? Councillor Bailey agrees.
So then, Councillor Bailey, if you could please do the honor of reading out the application. It's originally a Bailey Margetson. Thank you.
So I'm going to finish through 12. And that zoning application file number Z27-20 Orr and Bishop for lands described as parts lots 3-4 concession 2 north of Black River, part 1 47R 3580, except part 1 47R 3978 in Ward 8 North Marysburg be approved.
Okay, so we're voting on this, Madam Clerk?
Correct.
Okay, show of hands, all in favor, please. And that carries. So do you now want this read by Councillor Bailey?
No.
No? Okay.
Friendly amendment. Thank you.
Okay, so we'll move on to item 9.4. And this is Catherine Grayer, 16 Elk Street in Picton. So I'll ask staff if there are any additional comments concerning this application.
Through the chair, no, we do not.
Okay, thank you. Is the applicant or the applicant's agent present, and are they in agreement with the conditions as outlined in the report? Want this read by Councillor Bailey? We're getting audio feedback of some sort. This is concerning the Catherine Grayer application. Is the applicant or the applicant's agent present, and are they in agreement with the conditions of approval of the conditions of approval as outlined in the report?
Yes, your work. Can you hear me?
I can.
Sean Legere from RFA Planning Consultants. I'm the agent for the application, and I've reviewed the staff report and amending bylaw. Everything seems in order. This is a condition of consent approval we are here for today, and I'm here to answer any questions you may have.
Okay. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak to the application? Anybody out there? Okay, I'll ask council if they have any questions concerning the application. Councillor Nyman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This would be to staff. I was just wondering, reading through there, the property is going to be severed, but it also says Elk Street is going to have the sewer redone, but they're not going to be able to hook up the severed lot to the sewer. They're going to do it all at once. If the sewer project don't happen this year or by June of next year, I think it says that everything has to be done by 1 year. How does that play out?
And that's James.
Yes.
To you.
So through your worship. So we've actually went through a development agreement So the development agreement can allow this to go past 1 year for that condition. So the development agreement states that no matter the owner, whoever owns the property will have to hook up hook up the services due for that reason, for the reconstruction of Elk Street.
A quick follow-up.
Yep.
So they can't, if somebody purchases it now and they want to build a dwelling now, they're not going to be able to hook in until we do the sewer project, right? Is that my understanding?
James.
Yeah, through the chair, they could still, but it would just be a matter of it. We would recommend that they hook in when we reconstruct the street.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? This is Councillor Mcnaughton motion. Seconded by Councillor Harper.
Yes, the Mcnaughton Harper motion that the report of development services dated June 9th, 2020 regarding rezoning file number Z3-20 be received. That zoning file number Z3-2020, or sorry, 20, Catherine Grayer for lands described as part lot 1047, Plan 24, Part 1, 47R3720 in Ward 1, Picton be approved.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, I'll call the vote. All those in favor? Show of hands, please, and that carries. And moves us to item 9.5, Frederick Lightfoot and Cheryl Barr concerning County Road 8. Staff have any additional comments about this application? Oh, I'm sorry, Councillor St. Jean.
Declare a pecuniary interest on this matter, and I'll be leaving the meeting from.
Okay, thank you.
Through your worship, no, we do not.
Not okay. Is the applicant or the applicant's agent present, and are they in agreement with the conditions of approval as outlined in the report? Sean, is that you for this one too?
Your worship, no, it's not.
Okay.
I am ascertaining there's a Fred, just don't recognize any of the names in the waiting room. Is James, is Jeff ring a bell? Or
Yeah, no, it'd be Joe or Fred, I believe.
I don't see a Joe or Fred in the waiting room.
Is Councillor St. Dean still there?
No, he's not. He's declared a pecuniary.
Yes, yeah, sorry. Could be Cheryl Barr.
Cheryl Barr is on the name of the application along with Frederick Lightfoot.
Yes.
Yeah, none of those names are in the waiting room. Okay, well, we'll give it through you, your worship. James, did they confirm that they would be present?
They did not confirm, no.
They did not confirm.
But I have spoken with, last week I spoke with Mr. Lightfoot regarding the application. He was in agreement with the specific zoning provisions. But he has not confirmed that he will be a part of the Zoom conversation.
Okay. Well, I'll ask if there's anyone in the audience who wishes to speak to the application. Anybody out there, Madam Clerk?
Your worship, no.
Okay. I'll ask council if they have any questions or want to make any comments concerning this application. Anybody? No?
Actually, through your worship, just to make sure that we give everybody a chance to speak on the application, I'm going to add anybody that I don't recognize their name as staff to the meeting, just to make sure that we give everybody the chance to speak on the application to retain their LPAT rights. So the person I'm adding is Kathy, and I'm wondering if Kathy Grayer was the applicant for the previous
Yes, she
application.
applicant for the last one, 9.4.
But Sean spoke on her behalf, so that was great.
Okay.
But that's the only person in the waiting room that is not a staff
Okay,
member.
so we've got we've done 9.4. So there's nobody waiting for 9.5? No one present?
No. And Kathy, I'll just let you know your application went through. It was approved by council, okay?
Okay, we're dealing with 9.5 here. Got a question for, well, just 1 second, Councillor Maynard, I see you. Okay. We've got 9.5 that we're dealing with. Councillor Maynard, you have a question?
Yeah, just a question. Do we not normally, and I mean, these are not normal times, but do we not normally either have something in writing or a confirmation that they are in favor, that the applicant is in favor of the condition before we pass it?
Through the chair? No, we do not. And I'd also like to note that this is just a recommendation of approval. There are no conditions with this application.
Okay. Any other questions of members of council? Okay, well, I'm going to call the vote. Or first of all, it's a Councillor Prinsen McMahon motion. If Councillor Prinsen could put that on the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's a Prinsen McMahon motion that report DS-54 2020 of Development Services dated June 9th, 2020 regarding zoning bylaw amendment file number Z18-20 be received, and that zoning amendment file number Z20-20 Lightfoot Bar for lands located in Part Lot 21, concession Southeast Carrying Place as in PE 145379, Ward 2, Bloomfield, Hallowell be approved.
Okay, thank you very much. So I'll call the vote. All those in favor, please show your hands. And that carries. And within 15 days of council's decision, a notice of decision will be mailed out as prescribed, advising of the decision, the conditions, if any, and the date on which the 20-day appeal period to the local planning appeal tribunal expires. If no appeals are received, council's decision is final. Any person who wishes to receive notice of decision of council must submit a written request to the municipal clerk. So that will move us to item 9.6, motion to resume sitting as council. And this is Councillor Roberts. Councillor Roberts, you have item 9.6.
I just read it to myself. I think I'm unmuted now. I'll go a second time. This is Roberts Margetson motion that Planning Public Council now rise and resume sitting as council.
Thank you very much. All those in favor? And that carries. There's just 2 items for consideration. Item 10.1. This is Councillor Bolick, second by Councillor Forrester.
Let's get the unmute here. This is a Bolick Forrester motion that council receive report OPS 05/2020, that council award tender 2020-EDW-26 to Rush Truck Centers of Canada Limited in the amount of $264,102.40 plus applicable taxes, and that a bylaw to authorize the execution of an agreement between the County of Prince Edward and Rush Truck Centers of Canada Limited be enacted at the June 9th, 2020 council meeting.
Okay, thank you very much. And I see we have Jeff and Tanya here, who I guess you guys are going to respond to any questions on this, but welcome. Haven't seen you on one of our virtual meetings yet. So I will ask if there are any questions of members of council. Councillor Maynard.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just briefly, we've now received all of the trucks that the ones from the 2019 budget. So we got a full document through you to staff.
Can you repeat that? You broke up.
Sorry, we've now received, we did finally receive all of the trucks that were in our in the budget previous in the 2019 budget. The plow trucks.
And you're asking that of?
Yeah.
Okay, who would like to respond to that?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, we have
Jeff?
received, yes, we have received all the trucks from 2019.
Okay, good.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, seeing none, I will call the vote. And if I could have a clear show of hands, please. All those in favor? And that carries. Thank you. Moves us to item 10.2. This is a Margetts and Roberts motion.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is a Margetts and Robert motion that the items approved under delegated authority to the CAO during COVID-19 pandemic be received. Those being DS 44 2020, DS 60 2020, OP 04 2020, DS 61 2020, and provincial gas tax.
Okay, thank you. Questions from members of council? Seeing none, I will call the vote. All those in favor? Just keep your hands up because some of you are freezing. Okay, thank you. That carries. Moves to committee reports and item 11.1. Councillor St. Jean.
Okay, this is a St. Jean Hirsch motion that the public report of the closed session from the council meeting held on May 28, 2020 be adopted as presented.
Thank you. Questions? Okay, all those in favor? Hands up. Okay, thank you. That carries. And move to 11.2. Councillor Roberts.
Thank you. This is a Roberts Nyman motion that the report of the committee of the whole meeting held on May 28, 2020 be adopted as presented.
Thank you. Questions? Councillor Nyman. Question?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to pull CW 081 2020 for a separate motion.
Okay. All right. What, can you provide a page number?
Yeah.
197.
Thank you.
Okay, and that number again, CW 082 2020?
081 2020.
Is that what you said?
CW 081 2020.
81. Okay, and are there any other items? No, okay. So I get, Madam, if there are no other items, Madam Clerk, will we vote on on the report with the exception of that item?
Through your worship, I'm having technical difficulties with my sound. I can't hear any of you. I've missed the last couple minutes, so if I could just ask for just a little clarification, and I can hear you when I open the door to your office. If you could just let me know what that was, please.
I'll tell you what, why don't we take a 10-minute recess and see if you can straighten that out?
Thank you, that's much appreciated.
Okay, so we'll recess for 10 minutes. To 20. Well.
Brad, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah. The item you're pulling, what's behind pulling it?
Nope.
Oh, no.
We can't talk about this until we're back.
Okay. Can you do semaphore?
Bill, you're allowed to talk about the weather.
We had great weather today, thank you.
Hopefully we get the much needed rain tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's going to come in rain. Thunderstorm.
Sunday was sunny. No, Saturday was just brutal.
We didn't get any.
So has everybody booked their hairdressing and barber appointments for Friday?
Not me.
I can tell you, my wife Sharon is tired of me doing her roots.
Well,
Good luck getting in,
Yeah.
unless you had a cancellation prior.
Councillor Forrester, Bailey, Hirsch, and I have sensible haircuts.
Yeah. Oh, Steve, I just wanted to say, and I
And?
did the other night, if anybody was worried about the tourists coming back, we filled up this weekend, took 3 week-long.
You're muted, Jamie.
No, I was just saying, if anyone was worried about the tourism coming back, I had canceled this weekend out along with a bunch of other business. We filled it up with weekend, 3 full long bookings. Next weekend, the same thing. And I probably turned away about 20 people right now. So they are coming back as quickly as I can fill them.
Yeah.
And I'm just one place.
Yep. That's
I'm not sure how I'm going to handle it this weekend, but they're here.
well, it wasn't the Niagara region, and their wineries remain closed. So the premier helped us yesterday when the question was asked of him. So people can go to, say, Prince Edward County for a wine tour.
Yeah.
Sure, you can wander around, yeah.
Okay, Mayor Ferguson, if we could call the meeting back to order. Thank you for your patience with my technical difficulties with my sounds.
Okay, thank you, Madam Clerk. So we are back. We've got one item pulled from 11.2. Will we vote on the report excluding that item? And I think the Councillor Nyman wants some discussion about that and then a subsequent separate vote. Is that where you're going with this, Councillor Nyman?
Sure, yes, Mr. Mayor. Thank
Okay.
you.
So, Madam Clerk, do you want to, what are we going to do? Report of the Committee of the Whole held on May 28th? Or
So
you
through you,
read the motion? This is a Roberts-Nyman motion.
absolutely. So through your worship, so what we would do is Roberts-Nyman motion that the report of the Committee of the Whole meeting held on May 28th, 2020 be approved, save and accept motion CW 081-2020.
Okay. All right, then I will call the vote on that basis. All those in favor, please show your hands. And that carries. So, Councillor Nyman, you want to bring up CW 081-2020?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to make a couple comments on this after our last discussion.
You're frozen.
Can you hear me?
Okay, start again, please.
I just wanted to make a couple comments on this after our last discussion. Excuse me, and I've thought about it a little bit, and I think when my understanding of the motion is, and Madam Clerk can correct me if I'm wrong, but what this is trying to do is that in the event of an emergency, we can use this going forward. And you know, our last discussions, and by no means is this, don't want anybody to take this the wrong way, but you know, I heard weather, I heard work, I heard health. To me, and maybe I'm wrong, but those things aren't emergencies. A snowstorm, we live in Canada, we know snowstorms come. If there's a bad storm for on a council meeting or a committee of the whole meeting or planning, we just cancel it and reschedule it. Work, I mean, we all knew what we were getting into when we ran for council. We knew the meetings that we'd have to do. So a work isn't an emergency either. People plan and they change their schedules to attend the meetings. Health, people's health is an emergency for them and then their families. But is it an emergency to stop a meeting? You know, an emergency, a pandemic is an emergency. And, you know, we've received emails about some thoughts on concerns about what people think of the meetings. Some of the, you know, how do we say it? Politically correct would be, you know, people are asking questions about or raising concerns about, you know, the backdrops or the dress code or you know, people cutting out for periods of time. You know, and that raises concerns. So if the public is out there, and there could be reasons why you and I'm sure it's a good reason why you have blocked out, went off camera, but it's the perception. And again, don't take this the wrong way, but if we go down this road, human nature is at some point, somebody's going to take advantage of this. And if they don't want to come to the meeting, they're going to go in on the video just because they don't feel like going to meetings. Again, we all signed up. We all knew what the meetings were about. We knew how many there was. And, you know, we're here to serve the residents of Prince Edward County, and they expect that. So that's just, I just wanted to make those few points that I think going down the road of electronic meetings in the future for an emergency, well, what's an emergency? So the weather, work, health, that's not really emergencies. So it's just having it out there and maybe to rethink things a little bit. We go down this road, I think we're going down a slippery slope. So anyways, that's the comments.
Okay, so it's just a comment you're making at this point?
Yeah, I mean, the motion's already there. No sense changing it. Just maybe, I don't know if anybody else has comments, and if not, we'll just call the vote.
Okay, does any, see, any comments from members of council? Councillor Maynard?
Thank you, Your Worship. Well, I actually, to allow the public to participate electronically is one thing, but I think that the council should be in the chambers to participate. And as Councillor Nyman said, if we have a weather event that is severe in nature, then the meeting would be canceled. So
Both frozen.
I'm still hearing what's going on.
Am
I still frozen?
No, you're not frozen, but the audio broke up. If you could repeat your comment.
I'm in favor of the public being able to participate electronically, but as for council, I would prefer that motion perhaps be amended to say that we permit electronic participation for the public and not for council, as I think that we do need to be in the chambers to have our discussions and make our decisions. So if Councillor Nyman wanted to, if you want to amend that, I'd be amenable to that.
Okay, I'm going to ask Madam CAO if she's got any input into this motion and clear up any of the.
Through your worship to council, this is a bylaw on the agenda for approval as the next part of the next item. So you could ask to pull this bylaw and have us revisit it in light of some more direction from council by way of either a motion or amended motion to give us more clarity as to where you see this bylaw working. This bylaw was drafted assuming that it would work for council members, for committee members, as well as members of the public who make or guests who make deputations. So a little more clarity on how you expect it to be used, and we could bring back the bylaw at the next meeting. It's not urgent because we have all of this authority under the provincial and or municipal order now.
Right.
Okay, Madam CAO, I'm sorry, you're going to have to repeat that because the audio is just not cooperating tonight.
Kind of makes the point, right? So what I was saying is that this is a provision under the Municipal Act that allows councils to choose to do this outside of emergency should they wish to. The bylaw that we have prepared is on the agenda tonight for passage in the next item. You could pull that item and either amend this motion or add a new motion to give us clarity as to what you would like the bylaw to say, and we can bring it back. The bylaw was intended to work for councillors, committee members, the public, and guests. So a little more clarity, we can bring it back. It is not an urgent bylaw to pass tonight because the powers for electronic meeting in all those formats exist with a municipal and or provincial order. So for the foreseeable future, we do not need this bylaw, but we have time to go back and redo it if that's the wish of council.
Fine to it. Okay, Councillor Nyman, over to you.
Okay, so
wait a sec, hang on for a minute. There are other questions here before I go back to you. Councillor Margetson.
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. It was my understanding, and I may be incorrect, that this bylaw that we were going to pass to amend our procedural bylaw was to allow this electronic participation in a declared state of emergency. Is that not correct? Is it other in situations other than a declared state of emergency? Question to staff.
Yeah.
Perhaps that's best answered by the clerk.
Madam Clerk?
Through you, Your Worship, the intent of the bylaw is to make the ability for council, members of committees and boards, and the public to participate electronically, as it's been allowed since the Municipal Act made this change in 2018. So it's for allowing for that flexibility of electronic participation, whether we're in an emergency or not. The KV is
the explanation. I don't think everybody got the explanation.
We cannot.
So if you could repeat yourself, please, Madam Clerk.
Sure, thank you, Your Worship. I'll be more succinct. So it's allowing the flexibility to participate electronically, whether we're in an emergency or not. The only difference is the way the bylaw is written and the way that the report outlined it is that when we're in an emergency, whether it's declared by the municipality or the province, it can count towards quorum. So we're leaving it up to members of council and committees and boards to ascertain for themselves when they would like to use this provision. Should it be during a time where they have a family emergency, which is not an emergency to the rest of us, but is an emergency for them, or whether they're on vacation and it doesn't count towards quorum when we're not in an emergency. And this is a provision that many municipalities have used since 2018.
Yeah,
thank you.
Councillor St. Jean.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'm not quite understanding why everyone has a hang up on this one. I have a lot of confidence in the people that I used to sit with in the horseshoe, that they're not going to abuse this. I see this as an option, and I'm going to use Councillor McMahon as an example here. He missed a number of meetings due to what I'll call a health emergency that I feel had this been in place, he still would have been able to participate at least a few of those meetings. So I really don't see the issue here. This is giving us options. And I also believe that, I don't know if I'm freezing or not here, but I also believe that, you know, there's going to be a certain amount of peer pressure. If we find out that one of our fellow council members are not using, or let's say they're abusing that privilege, then I think we're going to be able to put some pressure on those people. So again, I see this simply as an option.
Now you've broken up.
Yeah, we do things. And like I say, I see nothing wrong with this. Gives us some flexibility and some options.
All right. Any other comments? Councillor Hirsch.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, I think the county needs to get a new internet service provider. The rest of us can hear this fine. The problem seems to be at Shire Hall this evening. Second thing, however, I'll agree with Councillor St. Jean. I think the motion is fine as worded. The point being that outside of a declared emergency, if we were to have electronic participation, we don't count for quorum and we can't vote. That means if you have somehow elected to not be in the council chamber and participate electronically, all you can do is participate. You don't get to participate in the decision. To me, that factor alone would prevent any kind of abuse. So I think it's fine the way it's written, and would be prepared to go ahead. Thank you.
Okay. All right, thanks. I'm going to, okay, Councillor Bullock.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to jump on this bandwagon as well. I think there is a bit of a self-correction aspect to this. Being someone who lives the furthest from Shire Hall of all of us, I can attest to the fact that winter weather can be particularly daunting and a lot different at one end of the county from the other. And obviously people do have to leave the county from time to time, sometimes on short notice. So the ability to at least participate is beneficial. And if Councillor Nyman's concerns actually come to fruition, that somebody's abusing that, we can certainly change our procedural bylaw at that point to correct any shortcomings. So, the dangers are certainly there, but I would suggest that they're not insurmountable.
Okay, Councillor Maynard. Then we'll go back to Councillor Nyman, then we're going to move forward.
Yeah. Thank you, Your Worship. Well, although, I mean, we can read in, I guess now we can read in our thoughts on a particular issue. We can email our thoughts on a particular issue, but I am still in favor of having this just available for the public. And as the CAO has said, this is not particularly urgent and may at least deserve some further consideration. So if I could, I just put on an amendment that we receive it and we refer this back to staff for further consideration and consultation for allowing only participation by public members inserted in there wherever appropriate. I think this evening we've got exactly where the issues we're having right now just highlight the concerns of technology.
Okay, Councillor Nyman.
Driving in the winter either.
Thank you.
If I could get.
Did you have a seconder for that?
If I have a seconder.
Councillor Nyman, are you seconding this or is this a question or comment?
No, I'll second that, but then I have a couple comments.
Okay, go.
Okay, thank you. So just want to clarify something. When I said abuse, as I said, it's human nature, and I'm not accusing anybody of abusing anything. But there may come a time if we go down this road,
slippery slope,
somebody of a different council, there may be abuse. So I just want to clarify that so that my friend over there, Councillor St. Jean, doesn't take it the wrong way. As far as participating, you want to participate, or we want to participate in the meeting, but you don't get the vote, you don't get the count as quorum. Well, really, you're a member of the public then. That's what it is. Then you should come in as a member of the public, not sitting as council if you can't vote and you don't count towards quorum. So I agree with Councillor Maynard. Have the public come in electronically, but council, they've elected us to participate. They expect us to participate and they expect us to be at the meetings when we can make them. There's things that's kind of where it is.
Okay, I saw Councillor Harper's hand and then I'm going to call the vote on the amendment.
Mr. Mayor, I was just going to say, I'm like, as Councillor Hirsch started the conversation, I think it's a great option that we have. It doesn't mean that we're going to use it. I think if you think ahead to future elections and people's interest and ability to participate as a councillor, to know that that's an option for them, I think will draw a lot more people and a lot more interest to participate as councillors. I think it's a great option. And I feel that as a group, we're mature enough to not abuse it. Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Maynard, you put an amendment on the floor. Madam Clerk, could you read what Councillor Maynard is proposing here?
So the amendment would read that this be referred to staff for further public consultation to only permit electronic participation of public members when appropriate.
Yeah, if I could just interject, consultation and consideration, right? You don't have to do a huge consultation. It's consultation and consideration by staff to allow, but other than that, just interject the word consideration.
Okay.
Just in.
All right, so we'll call the vote on the amendment. All those in favor
Have the recorded vote, please.
on the amendment? Okay.
Could we have the amendment read out one more time, please?
Certainly. Madam Clerk?
Just making sure I'm unmuted. Yes, okay. That motion CW-081-2020 be referred to staff for further public consultation and consideration to only permit electronic participation of public members when appropriate.
Okay, clear? Okay.
Councillor St. Jean.
Opposed to.
Councillor Bailey.
Opposed to.
Councillor Bolick.
Opposed to.
Councillor Forrester.
Opposed to.
Councillor Harper.
Opposed to.
Opposed to.
Councillor Hirsch.
Opposed to.
Councillor Mcnaughton.
Opposed?
Councillor Margetson.
Opposed.
Councillor Maynard.
In favor.
Councillor McMahon.
Opposed to.
Councillor Nyman.
In favor?
Councillor Prinzen.
Opposed to.
Councillor Roberts.
Opposed.
Mayor Ferguson.
Opposed.
And that loses 12-2.
Okay, thank you. So we vote on the other one now?
Yes, with no amendments.
If you could read that aloud.
Certainly. That report CL-04-2020 be received for information. That council approve the amendments to bylaw 4402-2019, being the procedural bylaw for the Corporation of the County of Prince Edward to permit electronic participation, and that a bylaw to amend bylaw 4402-2019 be brought forward and enacted at the June 9th, 2020 council meeting.
Okay. Thank you. I'll have a show of hands on this, please. All those in favor?
1 second, sorry, Mayor Ferguson, I need a mover and seconder for that.
Sorry. Yeah, mover and a seconder for this. Councillor St. Jean, seconded by Councillor Hirsch. Okay. All those in favor,
I'll have a
please.
recorded vote, please.
Councillor Nyman has requested a recorded vote.
Councillor Maynard.
Aye.
Did you hear the response, Madam Clerk?
No, I did not, and I don't see her present at the meeting now. Okay, we'll start with somebody else. Councillor McMahon.
In favor of.
Councillor Nyman.
Opposed to?
Councillor Prinzen.
In favor.
Councillor Roberts.
In favor.
Councillor St. Jean.
In favor.
Councillor Bailey.
In favor of.
Councillor Bolick.
In favor of.
Councillor Forrester.
In favor.
Councillor Harper.
In favor.
Councillor Hirsch.
In favor.
Councillor Mcnaughton.
In favor?
Councillor Margetson.
in favor of.
Councillor Maynard,
Opposed to.
Mayor Ferguson,
In favor.
and that carries 12 to 2.
Okay, thank you.
Your worship, I had a, sorry, may I?
Pardon me?
I had a, I didn't want to pull the item, but I did have a question just for some clarification. And I don't think it, before we pass the other motions, I don't think you see my hand. I just wanted to ask a question for clarification on 83-2020, if I could, please.
Well, we've already.
I know, but you didn't
already
see
had
my
the vote on
hand.
that. I didn't know. I didn't
Yes.
see your hand.
Yes, that's what I'm saying, and I'm only asking it for clarification, which is why this format is difficult. I will ask the question offline then if you want to. If you
Yeah, I think that would be preferable, please. So they'll move us to bylaws for consideration 12.1. And this is a Maynard Mcnaughton motion. Councillor Maynard.
Thank you. Maynard Mcnaughton motion that the following bylaws be read a first, second, and third time and finally passed. 12.1.1, 12.1.2, 12.1.3, 12.1.4, 12.1.5. Sorry, 12 point, I have these all in order here before I started moving my stuff around. 12.1.6, 12.1.7, 12.1.8, 12.1.9, 12.1.10, 12.1.11.
Thank you. 12.1.11, what about 12.1.12?
Oh, sorry, 12.1.12.
Okay, thank you. Any questions?
Looking at a screen and an agenda.
Okay. Councillor St. Jean, got a question?
Thank you, Your Worship. Clarification from the clerk. Should I not be voting on the bylaw with regards to Lightfoot and bar? What's
Yes,
the procedure?
please.
Okay.
No, you should not.
So
You
can that
declare-
motion be amended to exclude that one bylaw so that I can vote on all the other ones?
Yes, thank you.
Which is?
That is
12.1.10, I believe. Yes.
okay, so we'll vote on all these bylaws with the exception of 12.1.10, Madam Clerk?
Correct.
Okay. All those in favor, please. Show of hands. That carries. And then we are voting on 12.1.10 separately, excluding Councillor St. Jean.
Correct.
Okay. All those in favor?
No, we need a mover and seconder for that one.
Okay, sorry, if we could have a mover and a seconder for this. Councillor Margetson, seconded by Councillor Roberts. All those in favor? And that carries. Thank you. It moves us to item 13.1. And this is a Councillor McMahon.
Thank you, Your Worship. This is a McMahon-Hirsch motion that council now move into closed session to consider a number of items. You want them all?
If you
Yes.
could, please.
Okay.
A and B.
Okay. A, personal matters about identifiable individuals, including municipal or local board employees, regarding an application for an advisory committee of the local board. B, one proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality or local board pursuant to section 239
2B and C of the Municipal Act.
Thank you. All those in favor? Okay, that carries. So it'll move us into closed session. Madam Clerk, if you could
Yes, please. If I could
provide
ask,
instruction here.
yes, if I could ask all of you to please leave this meeting, and I'm going to mute myself, and we're going to put on a caption that's going to tell everybody we're in closed, and if you could just join the closed meeting.
So we're leaving this one.
Yes.
Okay.